In the last 150 years, humanity was on the brink of extinction at least 4 times. Incredible miracles saved us all. I'm gonna tell you about these incidents now. Let's go. In 2015, the US government allowed Air Force veteran John Borden to tell the public about a horrifying incident that nearly led to the end of the world in 1962 during the Cuban Missile Crisis. On October 28, American military base at Okinawa, where Borden served, received orders to immediately launch nuclear strikes on the USSR, China, and Korea. The Okinawa base had 32 rockets with nuclear warheads. Captain William Bassett, on duty that day, couldn't believe his eyes when he got the orders. He suspected it was some error, but time was running out. Captain Bassett was bothered that the threat level in the orders was marked as DEFCON 2, since nuclear missiles can only be launched at DEFCON 1. Bassett thought maybe Okinawa might be the first target of Soviet missiles, so the US command sent the fastest possible orders, forgetting to raise the threat level to DEFCON 1. Captain William Bassett was in a tough spot with the fate of humanity in his hands. If he obeyed orders, everyone would die, but if he didn't and it was a real threat, everyone would die anyway. So, if there's no difference, why launch missiles? There was also a chance it was a false alarm. Anyway, Bassett called his superiors, lied, telling them the orders were fuzzy and distorted when coming through teletype. Bassett was sweating, but still, believing it was real, ordered not to hurry with the nuclear strike, but a junior officer disagreed and refused to obey a wrongful order. He started preparing missiles at the control point on the other side of the base. Bassett quickly sent 2 armed soldiers to the control point to shoot the officer if he tried to launch the missiles without his order, while the remaining authorities either raised the threat level to DEFCON 1 or cancelled the attack. His higher-ups checked previous orders, found the mistake, and immediately cancelled the nuclear strike. Thanks to one person, everything on our planet was saved. After the incident, authorities conducted a thorough investigation and questioned those involved. It turned out a certain major was responsible for the near apocalypse.
Who sent a wrong code sequence. You'll be surprised to learn what punishment the major got, just simply. Demoted in rank, Captain William Bassett died in 2011, never thanked for saving the world, as the public knew about him only 4 years after his death. Amazingly, Russia also has a hero like him, Stanislav Petrov. He also saved the world from doom. Unlike William Bassett, lived until the world knew his feat, got 25,000 euros as a reward. Dresden Award in Germany, and the World Citizens Association Award in New York. And now you'll find out how he saved the world. It was the night of September 25, 1983. Cold War at its peak. At the Missile Attack Warning Command Post near Moscow, Soviet Army Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov was on duty when a satellite detected a US attack. Satellites caught flashes of intercontinental ballistic missile engines working. (103) space system signaled. Rocket launched. I repeat, ballistic missile launched. Military base, West Coast, US. Military base launch time 001503. Everyone immediately take their places. Second missile launched. I repeat. second missile launched automatically showed 5 Minuteman missiles heading towards the Soviet Union, armed with nuclear warheads. Petrov had to call Andropov right away for permission to strike back. Minutes were running out, had to act fast, but Petrov's intuition told him something was off. He wondered, why did the US launch only 5 missiles when starting a nuclear war? 5 warheads were definitely too few to destroy all strategically important USSR targets. It bothered him that the system showed a launch from only one US base, not all, as it should have happened in a real attack. Also, there was no second wave of missiles. So the officer sensed something wrong. Still, too much was at stake and Petrov was already reaching for the red phone. The problem was, after launching nuclear missiles, they couldn't be recalled like planes, so there was no room for error. But Petrov managed to regain control, used common sense, decided it was a system failure, and made the fateful decision to ignore the automation about missiles launched from the US.
Petrov's reporting.
Give me the status.
I'm giving you false info.
You saying it's a false alarm?
Exactly, it's false. There's no missile.
Petrov broke all rules, declaring the alarm false. Later investigation showed he was right. There was a system failure due to sunlight reflecting off high clouds. Later changes to the system avoided such situations. This incident, nearly sending us to hell, was kept secret for years. It was only declassified in 1998. Petrov later said it wasn't his shift that day, he was covering someone. He also said you needed iron nerves to not panic. Petrov admitted if he wasn't an engineer, he would have followed instructions. In 2006, Petrov received a special reward from the international group World Citizens. A crystal statue of a hand holding the world with the inscription, "To the man who prevented nuclear war." In 2016, Petrov won the Dresden Prize for preventing armed conflicts. To this, comes with 25,000 euros. In 2014, a documentary called The Man Who Saved the World was made about Petrov in Denmark. Sadly, Petrov died last year, aged 77. Now on to 27th October 1962, one of the most famous dates in history, also known as Black Saturday. The world officially sees this day as the closest we came to nuclear war, but amazingly, a Soviet sailor, Vasily Alexandrovich Arkhipov, single-handedly prevented it. Look at this man. You should pray to him, because without him you wouldn't be alive. Here's what happened. In 1961, the US placed nuclear missiles in Turkey, close enough to the USSR to easily reach its cities, including Moscow, without us retaliating. So the USSR quickly took countermeasures, secretly positioning our nuclear missiles in Cuba, easily within reach of US cities. On October 14, 1962, US intelligence found out about our missiles in Cuba, which really scared their government. Americans immediately started freaking out. They threatened to shoot ships that tried to approach Cuba. Khrushchev said the blockade was illegal and Soviet ships would ignore it. He warned if US attacked Soviet ships, they'd strike back immediately. Things got out of control. US and USSR prepared for nuclear war. On October 27th, tensions peaked as a US spy plane was shot down. Soviets shot it down over Cuba with a missile. Pilot died. US government thought it was the end. US Defense Secretary McNamara wondered if he'd see the sunrise. Cuban leader Castro called Khrushchev asking for a preemptive strike. He said Cuba was ready to sacrifice itself to defeat American imperialism. Everyone held their breath, waiting for a spark to trigger the nukes. And that spark was close to igniting in the ocean. The US discovered a Soviet sub near Cuba in the ocean. Sub B-59 had no radio contact with Moscow. The US started dropping little depth charges as a signal. But the Soviet crew didn't know that. The US didn't know B-59 had a nuke as powerful as Hiroshima. With explosions nearby and heat rising, the crew debated nuking Americans. They argued whether to launch the nuclear torpedo. They needed all three commanders to agree. Two commanders said yes, it's time to launch. They prepared to launch. It was Black Saturday, the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis. That day, tensions nearly led to war. There's no doubt the B-59's nuke would have started a nuclear war. So there they stood, two commanders ready to hit. Waiting for the third commander's decision, Vasily Arkhipov. The fate of the planet hanging on his choice. Arkhipov, two of us agree, up to you now. No, he said, I won't allow it. Arkhipov's disagreement saved the world. On October 28, the sub surfaced. The US let her sail peacefully, then USSR and USA held successful talks. They settled things. USSR removed missiles from Cuba, and US removed missiles from Turkey. That's how the Cuban Missile Crisis, also known as Caribbean Crisis, ended. At a conference in Havana on October 13, 2002, Robert McNamara said nuclear war was closer than believed. Thomas Blanton from George Washington University said a guy named Arkhipov saved the world. In 2003, Vasily Arkhipov was posthumously awarded a national prize. In 2017, Arkhipov was posthumously awarded the Life Future Award. The $50 prize was given to his daughter's grandson. Now let's analyze something. Remember Captain William Bassett, who received orders in Okinawa but resisted? Hard to believe, but this happened the day after Vasily Arkhipov prevented the nuclear war. Amazing, isn't it? Creepy coincidence, as if a mystical force wanted the end of the world. Too many incidents for 2 days in different parts of the planet. If the first 3 stories made you worry, the paradox is that nuclear weapons prevent big countries from starting a world war. Not only nuclear weapons threaten us, the next story shows. Moving to the year 1883. The apocalypse was supposed to start. In 1908, a small asteroid named Tunguska exploded in the air, destroying over 2,000 kilometers of dense forest in Russia. The explosion had a power of 50 meg, equal to the most powerful hydrogen bomb. Before that, 3,275 Tunguska explosions almost happened that could have destroyed humanity. In August 1883, Mexican astronomer Jose Bonilla took a photo of a huge comet, breaking into fragments, flying 600 kilometers from Earth. 600 kilometers is about the distance between Moscow and St. Petersburg. We got insanely lucky. Scientists think if those chunks hit our planet, the explosion's force would have been equal to 3.00 Tunguska meteorites exploding. This just confirms life forms in space aren't that secure. That's all.